For those of you who remember, a little while ago Airfix sent me a pre-release Spitfire FR.XIV kit to take a look at. Some of you may have seen the unboxing video I did, and I thought it was about time that I get started on this build. Join me in this video as I make a start on one of the latest kits from Airfix by building the pilot figure. Hi, I'm Matt and you're watching Model Minutes. Before I start the video, a quick shout out to my patrons. A massive thank you to you. To find out more about becoming a patron and what it gets you, check out the links underneath the video. So today I'm making a start on the Spitfire FR.XIV model kit in 1/48 scale from Airfix. Just a reminder that Airfix have sent this kit to me free of charge, but all opinions expressed are exclusively my own as I'm not being paid in order to make this video. So I'm making a start on the Spitfire figure, as you've probably gathered from my most recent videos that I've been a bit short on time recently, and I wanted to get started on this model kit but not actually have to get too far involved in it and then have to be taken away to do other projects. I thought that the Spitfire figure would be a nice little build in itself and I'd be able to see what kind of results you could achieve with this model. So the first thing I did was to remove the parts containing the Spitfire pilot from the sprue. I really like the way that they've been moulded. You can see lots of detail on the Spitfire pilot, and I do find that it's quite difficult to get a figure looking right in an aircraft model kit. Maybe because I build older ones, but even in some of the newer ones they just look a bit weird. But the good thing about this one is that it looks right to my eye. So I cut the figure parts from the sprues. The arms come separately. I then sand various areas that need cleaning up with a nail file, and also you can see that I'm scraping away a seam line which is down one side of the main component of the figure with a knife. I sand the flat parts of the arms with a nail file in order to remove the burrs that are there. This will help to give a nice flat surface when I come to cement them to the body. In order to add these two arms to the figure, I'm using Tamiya extra thin poly cement. I quite like this product as it has good flow qualities and bonds quite quickly. Also, the included applicator brush in the lid helps to apply the cement exactly where you need it. So all you can see me doing here is applying the cement to the main figure part and then cementing the arms into a sort of realistic position. The left arm looks as though it's operating the throttle, and the right arm looks to be holding onto the control column. So I'm doing my best by eye to sort of align these as if they were in a realistic pose. After a couple minutes the cement had set and I moved on to painting the figure. I start off the painting by using Humbrol 96 RAF Blue Matte enamel paint. I'm using this straight out of the tin. I didn't see the need in thinning this paint as it wasn't going to be applied over a large area. I try my best to avoid adding this paint to any areas which might have a light colour paint such as the face and hands. As for the overall finish though, I'm not particularly too fussed as I'm going to go around later and pick out the other details. As I hadn't thinned the paint, one coat seemed to be just enough. Having left the Humbrol 96 enamel paint to dry, I then moved on to painting the boots with Humbrol 33 matte black acrylic paint this time. I quite like using acrylic paints as they have very quick drying times. I'm using a fine brush to apply it quite carefully onto the boots of the model. Up next I'm using Humbrol 29 matte earth acrylic on the pilot's flying helmet. The instructions actually call for a slightly darker leather colour, but as I didn't have one of those to hand, I thought this would make quite a good substitute. Again, using a fine brush, I'm taking care to get it in just the right places. The next paint I'm using is Humbrol 24 matte trainer yellow acrylic paint. I'm using this to pick out the life jacket of the pilot figure. It's quite visible on the model that he is wearing a life jacket. However, in the instructions it doesn't actually indicate that this area should be painted. So I'm going a little bit off-piste here and doing this completely independently. The next paint I'm using is Humbrol 26 matte khaki. This paint is suggested by the instructions to pick out the various harnesses that are moulded onto the pilot figure. Once again, I'm using a fine brush to carefully highlight these areas. These harnesses go over the shoulders and round the waist of the pilot. The next paint I used was Humbrol 11 Silver. Again, this is the acrylic version and was left over from a starter set. I'm using it to highlight the buckle at the centre of the harness and also the glass in the goggles. Humbrol 61 Flesh Matte Acrylic was used on the hands and the face, being very careful so as to not get it in the wrong places. Having applied this paint, however, I did a little bit of research and found that a lot of pictures of Spitfire pilots in World War II actually had them wearing gloves, so I think painting it in Humbrol 61 wasn't exactly the right colour. So I then moved on to painting the gloves with Humbrol 26 Khaki, which would make the pilot appear to be wearing some gloves. I then moved on to applying a reasonably thin layer of Citadel non-oil acrylic wash. This wash will sink into all of the recessed details and help highlight those areas. It will also give a slightly dirty look and help dull down the colours, blending them together and making them look a little bit more realistic. The final step was to add a coat of Humbrol Enamel Matte 49 varnish. The previous wash layer had left a slightly shiny sheen, and I didn't feel this was particularly realistic, especially seeing as the majority of the colours on here were depicting uniform. So this last varnish layer will help bring the shine down and give a more realistic finish. And here's the finished pilot. From a normal viewing distance, the pilot looks quite realistic, and I'm quite pleased with the results I've managed to achieve. The photos are a lot closer up, however, and in places you can see imperfections with where I've applied the paint, and also where I might not have put it in quite the right place. Although I didn't use all of the paint colours as recommended by Airfix, I do feel I've managed to create a reasonable representation of a Spitfire pilot from World War II. I'm particularly impressed with the detail that this 1/48 scale pilot figure has, but I guess we'll just have to see how good it looks when actually added to the model. Why not let me know what you think of my pilot figure in the comments below, and don't forget that I'm interested in any suggestions for other videos that you might have. All that's left to say is thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you all on the workbench again next time.